Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started with day number 22. I can't believe that it's already day number 22. September is just going by very, very quickly, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for sticking to this and glad that you have shown up to tune in. And as always, if you want to pop into the comments and say hi, tell us where you're from or whatever, I always appreciate that. It's always awesome to see people that are tuning in. A lot of folks have tuned in every day. Sometimes we get some new people, so it's always great to see that. So welcome to day number 22. Today my energy is very low. So I was just like sitting here before I went live and just like thinking like how good it would be to take a nap. And I think that's kind of something that a lot of people kind of struggle with is like, okay, I want to go make art. Even if you've scheduled sort of some time to go make art, sometimes it's like you just kind of feel that energy not where you would hope it would be. So today has been a fairly busy day, and then I basically went and got groceries right before live streaming, so that kind of zapped my energy. So I'm looking forward to sort of having a little bit of time just to sit down and make art, even though I am feeling really, really tired today. So anyway, yeah, with kind of my energy fluctuating and not being where I'd like it to be, I really haven't thought about today. I haven't decided like, oh, I'm going to do this or that. So this is just going to be one of those times, like many other days, just sort of seeing what happens. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and switch over. And like I said, if you're tuning in and you want to say hi in the comments, it's always great to see who is here and who is tuning in. So sorry, like I said, I'm a little bit tired, so it's easy to kind of distract myself. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over. And like I said, today I really don't have any clue about what I want to do. So I'm just going to grab my brush and some paint. I don't even know. I'm feeling like I just want to paint some lines. Maybe thinking about those organic type lines and map-like marks that I like to make. Just something a little bit different today. Man, it's like I'm just really feeling that low energy, that energy drain. I'm just like, ugh, I just feel like, I don't know. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. You know, you go to sit down to make some art and you just don't feel it. So anyway, but who knows what's going to come out of it and how I'll feel in a little bit. So I think I'm just going to dive into some of this golden color. You know, today's the first full day of fall. Yesterday was the autumnal equinox. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but I just kind of wanted to point that out because I like fall. I like fall a lot. And maybe that's kind of influencing the colors that I'm playing around with. Actually, let's go ahead and embrace that. Let's just go all fall. So some of those brown lines have kind of stuck around. Some of them have kind of faded and bled away, but that's all right. You don't always have to see every single mark, every single thing that we do. That's one of the things I like about the layering process is that by the time I'm done, a lot of what I've done before is very hidden. You know, you don't see all the layers, you don't see everything that's gone on. So I find that rather interesting. I think I'm going to do some collage. I pulled out this bit of map from that Washington, D.C. map that I have, and I just really liked this top part, and I kind of like the border on there, so I think I'm going to kind of use part of that. Decide where I want to put that. I feel like I want maybe part of it down here, but not all of it. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I can basically feel my body sort of struggling against me, like what are you doing? You need to lie down and take a nap or veg out. But I'm gonna push through it. See what happens. But I do think it's important that we sort of acknowledge kind of like when we're feeling that way, and realize like it is okay to rest. It is okay to take care of ourselves. I just felt like I wanted to maybe put some of this envelope in there. Don't want that big of a piece, but I figure might as well cut off a piece that I can use later as well. So adding a little bit of paint, a nice kind of wash of this brown paint, helps push that collage into the piece. So either my wife is home, or there's a delivery, or somebody's at my door. I think I'll put the squares on this side this time. So I don't know if I ever said anything about the brushes that I use. I do think the brushes make a difference, and I always try to get decent quality, not like top of the line quality. I tend to get synthetic brushes, and I like the blue handled ones are actually, they were white. They were a white synthetic brush, but using them all this time really stains the bristles. And they're made more for acrylic and oil paint, and that just means that they're stiffer. And I like them because it really allows me to push the paint and especially the water soluble pencils around. So whether I'm using the Inktense or if I'm using water soluble graphite, the stiffer bristles really allow me to push it around, and I like that. So for watercolor, traditionally watercolor brushes are much softer because they are meant to hold a lot of water. So you probably see that I dip back and forth a lot with my brush. And really with watercolor paint, you don't dip back and forth so much because the bristles really hold that water in. But I use these brushes for the watercolor pencil, for acrylic. And even the little handled one, clear handled one here I believe is synthetic. And a lot of times I get free brushes. Being an art educator and going to conferences and such, a lot of times you'll get little samples from the vendors and such. So a lot of those have worked their way into my collection over the years. Got that piece of envelope kind of peeling up a little bit. So I've kind of stuck clear of very recognizable imagery other than, like using the maps and such, but things have been more abstract. There earlier in the month I was doing, profiles and faces and using images of myself. But I kind of think that like I've just kind of focused more on these slightly more abstract concepts. I think it, in a way, goes back to thinking about why I'm not using words. So a lot of my art, both my journal and standalone art, uses words, and sometimes I just feel like that is explicitly telling somebody, like, this is what this piece is about. And so sometimes I think if we use very recognizable imagery. It's not as explicit as, words that state exactly what the meaning is, but it's just using lines and shapes and color, different contrasts, different types of lines to show, to try to convey some kind of emotion or some kind of feeling or some kind of meaning. That's a pretty big challenge. Just kind of at a loss for what to do next. I just feel like my brain doesn't want to work. That's alright, then I just won't trust it. I won't use it. I think before I go too much further, I was just looking at the red lines. So on the map, there are red lines that represent more major routes, and I just kind of feel like it might be interesting if those lines got extended. This is another way to kind of tie in collage. Oftentimes the collage can feel separated from the rest of the image, even if it, like I've done it here with the painting over, it really helps tie it in, but those red lines from the roads really just kind of were standing out to me, and I thought, well, if I extend them, that really would bring another dimension to the piece, but really kind of help tie in those areas of red. This this circle's kind of disappearing a little bit. I want to bring it back. So somebody, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, was mentioning how when they were using their watercolor pencil and kind of like going on top, like trying to layer on top, it looked a little grainy. And I'm getting a little bit of that in this piece. It might not be noticeable on the video, but when I look at it, I can kind of see that some of the like pigments like kind of wiping off, and I just think it's the fact that the paper, the little crevices, the little texture of the paper gets filled with pigment, and then it just sort of wipes off. So I don't know if there's a real fix to that, but it's just something I've noticed. I feel like it's just kind of a jumble. I need to do something to pull out this organic form here. I know a lot of people refer to this form kind of as a tree, and I can definitely see the tree-like nature of it, but to me it's really not so much about a tree, but just an organic form, and to be honest, I see it more kind of rock-like. Kind of almost like it's in a cave, and that this part up here isn't the branches going up to the leaves, it's more like that's the ceiling of the cave. Just want to make some of these lines bolder so they stand out. So remember, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, go ahead and type them in and I'll try to answer them. Sorry, I'm just kind of feeling, and I'm a little quiet today, just that energy, just kind of that, and I'm just kind of getting into the groove of drawing these lines. So I was able to bring some of those lines out, but it's still just not reading. I want to darken the background, so I'm going to do something a little bit different than I've done before. So I'm thinking about kind of complementary colors, and I've got a lot of yellow in this. So I'm going to grab some purple, and I don't want too much. I don't want this to be super purpley. But got that too purple, and so I just kind of want to spread that out and paint that into the negative space. We'll see what that's like. So I often use very related colors, very analogous type colors, but today I just thought, you know what, let's go ahead and try something a little different. As I've mentioned before, if it's something where I just kind of feel like, oh no, I've totally ruined it, not that big of a deal. It's a small paper and I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. Just going to use this thicker black pen to really make some bold lines. I like that a little bit better, but it still feels, I don't know, I think it still needs a little bit of something else. So I want to do a little bit of shading in the background here in the negative space. So I've got a dark brown. I'm kind of just shade that in a little bit. Just think if I make it a little bit darker. But then I have these squares in there that I did earlier, so maybe I can pull those out a little bit. By painting over them with the purple, they've kind of almost disappeared. So I think just using a little bit of this brown to kind of pull them back out might be interesting. So on top of that brown, I'm going to shade some of this royal purple, just to kind of help highlight the fact that there's purple in the background. So I think that really helps bump up the contrast and really starts to help lift this organic form away from the background. This organic form is starting to take on more of a fiery kind of form, using just by bumping up that red, and now I'm using a little bit of orange in there. Okay. This one's kind of interesting. I feel like it has a bit more of a painterly look to it. I don't know. There's definitely something different about this than some of the other ones that I've done. But I think I'm going to call this done. All right. Yeah, so that's day number 22. So yeah, I really appreciate you all tuning in for this. Sorry that my energy is just kind of really low today, but I was feeling like I wasn't gonna like the piece that I made, um, but I think like it ended up being something that I think is a little bit different than some of the other things. There's a lot of there's a lot of similarities. I mean, used a lot of the same materials, used a lot of the same imagery, but there's something a little bit different about this one. And so I'm looking forward to just kind of spending some time and looking at it and maybe analyzing it and thinking about it and seeing kind of what that difference is. And but anyway, yeah, so I really appreciate you joining me today. And yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be day number 23. Wow, we just have a little bit over a week left. So thank you so much for tuning in again. And if you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you here tomorrow.